afternoon. Yesterday, the trial chamber accepted the plea agreement filed jointly by the prosecution and the defense of Jelena Rašić for contempt of the tribunal, where she pleaded guilty to all 5 counts of the contempt. Rašić pleaded guilty to knowingly and willfully interfering with the tribunal's administration of justice by procuring a false witness statement from Zuhdija Tabaković from Višegrad in exchange for €1,000 in cash. And she also pleaded guilty to inciting Tabaković to offer bribes to 2 other individuals in return for false testimony. Tabaković was convicted of contempt of the tribunal on 15th of March last year and was sentenced to 3 months in prison, while the date of Rašić's judgment hearing will be announced in due course. As for the upcoming courtroom schedule, the trial of Milan Tupajić, charged also with the contempt of the tribunal for failing to testify in the trial of Radovan Karadzic, starts on Friday, the 3rd of February at 2:15 in courtroom 3. There is only one hearing day currently scheduled for this trial. The defense will call Milan Tupajić as its only witness, and the chamber is not expected to call any witnesses. And next Wednesday, an administrative hearing has been scheduled in the case of Vojislav Šešelj. It will be held at 2:30 in courtroom 3 to discuss issues pertaining to the accused's health. I will remind you that parties have until Sunday, the 5th of February this year, to submit their final briefs to the chamber, which will be followed by the closing arguments a month later on the 5th of March. Proceedings in the trials of Radovan Karadzic, Zdravko Talmir, Jovica Stanšić and Franki Simatović continue this week and next as scheduled. In the trial of Karadzic, the chamber is currently hearing the testimony of Jean-René Ruiz, former ICTY lead investigator of the Srebrenica events. And in the trial of Talmir, witness Petar Škrbić, former assistant commander of the Army of Republika Srpska's main staff in charge of organization, mobilization and personnel, has just concluded his testimony. In the trial of Stanšić and Simatović, witness Aco Drača is currently testifying. He was a member of the State Security Service of the Serb Autonomous Region of Krajina in Croatia during the relevant period, and that would be that for the courtroom schedule. I would like to tell you that an invitation was sent this morning to journalists to attend the launch of a manual on international criminal defense, which will take place this coming Monday in the lobby of the tribunal starting at 6 o'clock. The manual was produced by the Association of Defense Counsel Practicing before the ICTY, together with the United Nations Interregional Crime and Justice Research Institute, UNICRI, as part of the War Crimes Justice Project. It provides an overview of the most effective practices developed by the Defense Counsel practicing before the tribunal. The president of the ADC, Jelena Nikolić, the vice president of the ADC, Colleen Rohan, and Judge Roberto Baileli, legal advisor to the Italian embassy, will address the guests on the occasion of the launch. And finally, it is my pleasure to say that the outreach program yesterday organized the premiere of its first full-feature documentary, Sexual Violence and the Triumph of Justice at the Humanity House in The Hague. It was attended by some 100 guests, including journalists, academics, and senior officials from other courts in The Hague. The screening of the documentary, which depicts the tribunal's historic role in the prosecution of wartime sexual violence, was followed by a roundtable discussion. Similar events will be organized in the countries of the former Yugoslavia in the coming weeks. Office of the Prosecutor. Thank you. Questions?
Yes, Nerma, could you confirm that the ban on Vojislav Šešelj's privileged communication with his legal advisors has been lifted, as his party claimed recently?
I can confirm that the registrar did inform Šešelj in a letter dated 27th, I think, of January, that the privileged communications, that he would suspend his decision on monitoring his privileged communication for the time being. I can also give you the reasoning behind that. A day earlier, or a couple of days earlier, the trial chamber in charge of the case of Vojislav Šešelj issued a decision on the prosecution's motion to admit the amicus report, which you recall, into evidence as a public document, and the trial chamber refused to do so. So this basically means that the production of evidence phase in this case is now officially closed. So there is no new evidence that will be coming out. Why is this linked to the monitoring decision? Because the registrar suspended his privileges of communication with his legal advisors due to his concerns that he was abusing the privileged communication to leak protected information or have it published by his associates elsewhere. As you know, he's been put on trial for a number of contempt of court breaches. So this is the reason why that is done. So with the conclusion of the evidence proceedings, that concern has been somewhat alleviated, but the registrar does remain able to, in accordance with the rule, change this decision at any time should the disclosure of confidential information continue. You had a question about Karadzic.
Yeah.
How many hours?
How many people is there in his defense team? And another one is how much money is he receiving now, because he has more hours paid for his defense, I think 1,020 or something like that. So do you maybe have that information?
Okay, so I have the information here from the Office of Legal Aid. So to formulate it correctly, Karadzic is not paid, his legal advisors are paid, yeah. So just for the record there. So he has been, until yesterday's decision of the President, he had 750 hours per month to be shared by 6 people on the team. So in light of the higher scope and complexity of his case, in comparison to other cases, the President granted additional 270 hours per month on top of the 750. His team members are paid at different rates, between 16 to 27 euros per hour. As Peter Robinson has an expanded role as the legal assistant in the case, which includes responsibility normally assumed by co-counsel in a case where accused is presented by counsel. He is paid at a higher rate of 71 euros per hour, which is the usual hourly co-counsel rate. And so these are the figures, and I know I'm not giving you one total, but that's because OLAD is at the moment, OLAD, the Office of Legal Affairs, is itself determining the appropriate ways to implement this decision. But some calculations can be made from
Yes, but there is 6 people in the
6 people on the team that can be paid at different rates. Any other questions? No? Thank you.